they all become gay. But
I love
like
it. The way I'm so invested in this, I'm like, what does she do next? Tell me right now.
so this is I like how yours always end up like they're back together. Mine are like so.
Not all of mine are
they
like that.
all die and become gay.
Hi guys, welcome back to As Seen In.
Hi guys, welcome back.
Today's episode is a new concept, kind of recreating one of our old concepts, but for the better.
Yeah, we did rewriting endings in season 3, which was fun, but it's quite restrictive and also very difficult.
Yeah.
So we've changed the format into writing sequels.
Yeah.
So basically, if we were going to take a film and add another one, the next one, what would it be? What would the story be? What would the characters be doing?
Yeah.
Etc.
So the sequels we're going to create today are going to be another High School Musical, another Knives Out, another Titanic, another Call Me By Your Name, and another 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay. I have 3 solid plots, and then the last 2 I really struggled.
I struggled with maybe one of these, but honestly, I'm so gassed with mine.
Like, all right, creative genius.
I do think my creative juices were flowing. Like, for me, it'll be like I'm blocked, and then all of a sudden it comes so fast.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh yeah, and this.
That
and
was
that,
like
and
me
this.
for the 3 I did, but there was nothing coming. Like, I will think on the spot, because obviously I'm going to perform.
Okay.
But 3 are very solid.
Okay, so let's start with High School Musical 4.
Can you go first?
Okay, so my High School Musical 4 is sticking with the Disney vibes. Like, it's very much like this is something that they could make because it's not too far from what they sort of do.
Nice.
So I put they're in college. Yeah. Troy and Gabriella start off strong, making the long distance kind of thing work. Because, you know, they ended up in colleges that were like kind of
not
close.
Not too far away from each other.
Yeah. And then it's final season. They drift apart. And Chad visits Troy to kind of try talk him out of his slump, because Troy is doing the thing where he's playing basketball, he's missing hoops. So it's like, you know, that's when you know he's down.
Hoops.
That's when you know he's down in the trenches. Simultaneously, Sharpay becomes a famous singer, and conveniently has a show in town, like near where Gabriella and Troy go to college. So like near Stanford and, you know, Southern California, I guess.
Because she didn't actually go to college, did she?
Sharpay.
I suppose she said that she was...
I think she was doing something, but it was like musical theatre performance type of thing.
Not Juilliard, because that's where Ryan went, right?
Exactly.
Nice, okay.
So she then becomes a famous singer. I think she drops out like midway through the year because she gets an opportunity.
Okay, nice.
And then so she has a show, and then Chad is like, oh, he's conveniently there at the same time, and he's like, Troy, let's go to this show. Like, this is what you need to, like, you know, get your mojo back. And then one of Gabriella's new friends also pulls her to the show because she's just like, oh, this is like a fun thing. Like, she doesn't know Gabriella and Sharpay and Troy and Chad all have history. She's just like wants to go to this cool show. And Gabriella doesn't know it's Sharpay's show. So she's just like, okay, cool, I'm going along. And then Gabriella and her friend lose each other in the crowd. So they're just kind of existing, enjoying the show on their own.
But it is Sharpay.
Yeah, it's Sharpay performing.
So does Gabriella know it's Sharpay at this point?
Yeah, at this point she arrives and she's like, oh, it's Sharpay, cool. Like, I don't know if she like cares, but like she's lost in the crowd, and the focus is now on the friend who's enjoying. And she stumbles across Troy and they start flirting and they get together, so they start kissing and stuff at this show. And then suddenly Gabriella comes and she sees this happening and she runs off, and they have a big like... Troy runs after her and they fight even more, and she's like, oh, I can't believe you do this to me. They sing and it's, you know, the whole thing. And then they don't speak for a long time. This is the bit where the storyline kind of, there's room for some development. But obviously Troy then needs to do a big gesture to get Gabriella back. So he enlists everyone from like their original squad from their original squad, like Taylor, Ryan, Kelsey, because normally it's like Kelsey being the one to like get the band back together, but Troy was the one this time.
Nice.
They do a big gesture, and then Gabriella realizes like, oh, I can't live without this guy, so they get back together.
Nice.
Thanks.
I like it.
Throwing some plot twists.
Okay. Brace yourselves for this. This is my High School Musical 4.
Okay.
My original note that I wanted to work on was they all become gay. But
I love
like
it.
every single one is like, yeah, like I'm
facts.
so queer.
Facts.
But I thought, no, Kaylee, stick to some form of original plot.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, we've got some shocks coming up. But okay. Mine starts off as a direct continuation from the senior year
Okay.
graduation.
Yeah.
So after the ceremony, Gabriella throws up.
Oh no.
She's pregnant.
Of course, we've talked about this trope as well.
So,
Has to be sick.
of course she's, because it's got to be as cliche as possible.
Yeah.
So Gabriella finds out she's pregnant.
With Troy.
Yes, with Troy.
Okay.
We have Troy at the school and we have Gabriella at the school. So they're not too far away from each other at first.
Okay.
So they sort of are coexisting and co-parenting the unborn child at this point. Until Troy lands a role in a movie in Hollywood, because he is studying acting as well.
Okay.
And this is now a little bit before the baby's born.
Okay.
And he's like, Gabriella, I need to be able to provide for the baby. And this is like a massive opportunity, massive like amount of money.
Yeah.
I should take it.
Yeah.
And she's like, sure, Troy, take the fucking role.
Yeah.
And get the money.
Get the
whatever.
bread.
But then it's becoming really difficult. She's trying to be a teen mom. Like they're still teens at this point, right? So Troy wants to be there, but he actually doesn't come back when the baby's born because he gets very comfortable being away from Gabriella. So she's, for the first few months of the baby's life, is completely alone. He's like talking to her on the phone, but he's like terrified of becoming dad and being and committing to this baby back in Stanford or wherever they are. I don't fucking know where they are. East High. So yeah, he takes the role. He's scared, so he runs away basically. There's then a sad and slow reprise version of Bet on Me. Bet on It, whatever it's called, Bet on It. So he's like, how will I know if there's a chance worth taking?
Yeah.
Like, it's sad.
Do I question every single move I make?
Yeah. Do you ever?
Yeah.
Like, it's sad. And there's also a montage at the same time of her with the newborn.
Yeah.
And him like, lose yourself to go.
Yeah.
You. Anyway, you get the vibe. So there's a sad bit. And then we've got to get someone to give him a kick up the arse, right?
Of course.
So Coach Bolton flies out to meet Troy.
Of course.
And basically tells him to get his act into gear.
To get his head back in the game.
Get his head back in the game. He has a really sad, emotional conversation with his dad about how Coach Bolton missed a lot of things when Troy was growing up because he was so invested in basketball, and he's like, I don't want you to feel the same.
Right.
I want you to be with your child. I didn't decide the gender of the child. I don't think it's relevant, but just be there for your child.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's basically the main storyline. But then I've just thrown in some other, like, because it can't all be about Troy and Gabriella.
Yeah, facts.
We've got Taylor very early on after the senior year comes out as bi.
Oh yeah.
Her and Chad are kind of just like off at the moment.
Yeah.
And she goes to a party and she gets really drunk and she hooks up with none other than Sharpay Evans. Yeah. So we have Taylor and Sharpay waking up after a raunchy night. Yeah. And Sharpay's like, oh my god. She runs away. She basically acts like she never even knows Taylor. She's basically trying to act like it never happened. She treats Taylor kind of bad until she realizes she's so gay. Yeah. And she actually loves Taylor so much. And so that does work out for them in the end.
I love that.
Kelsey's also gay. But that was a good one.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
And then I think, that's basically it. I think that's what I'd like to work on.
That's so sick. I really like that.
Thank you.
Okay, next. What should we do next?
Okay, so the ones I have are Titanic and Knives Out 3.
Okay, we'll do Knives Out 3.
Okay.
Is it Knives Out 3 or 4? 3, yeah. Knives Out 3.
Okay, you go, please.
So this one is like kind of up in the air, but I put Chris Evans reprises his role,
right?
But in disguise, or someone else, but is in disguise.
He was the killer, right?
I think so. In disguise, but playing two characters. So think Catherine and Elena in real life, but no witchiness. Or not even Catherine and Elena, just someone who is literally playing two characters, but no one really knows until maybe halfway through the movie. Like the audience doesn't know until halfway through the movie. And the people in the movie don't know. Right. They never find out.
Sure.
So they stage a murder of one of their characters. So it's like me playing Hannah and Georgia, and Hannah dies, but I stage the murder because I'm Georgia.
From Pinterest.
Oh my gosh, that's why the names came up in my head.
Sorry guys, you're getting killed.
But do you get me? So it's like I stage a murder for one of my characters, but I am the character because I'm still alive as the other 100%. Character. So therefore, no one is responsible for the murder, but a murder has to be solved, right?
That's really good.
Thank you.
That's really good.
Thank you. So this person, Chris Evans, for argument's sake, did it on purpose because he has a vendetta against one of these other characters. Okay. So he's using his alive version of his character, of one of the characters, to frame this person he has a vendetta against for killing the other version of his character. And really so the person then is framed for the murder. They go to jail. None of the others find out that this character was both characters at the end of the day, but we, the audience, know.
Was Benoit Blanc in it, or was he?
I didn't think about
reprising his role.
I haven't thought about that. That was just like the backbone of the story.
Understood.
Yeah.
You've seen Glass Onion, right?
I haven't finished it. I know it's really. That's
how close in are you?
Oh, maybe like less than halfway in.
But you've seen Hugh Grant.
No.
Hugh Grant. Oh, you haven't seen.
I haven't finished it.
Oh,
I am finishing it. That's why it was difficult to think of this.
That's hard because it's based off my story.
That's fine. To
be fair, he's literally in it for about 3 seconds.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, that was
fine.
Because I know it's a new storyline each time. It's not a continuation.
Yeah, but the characters. Okay, basically, it's not even really a spoiler, but Hugh Grant is Benoit Blanc's husband.
Oh,
like they're literally. That is literally the storyline.
Okay,
that
nice.
isn't me. That is what.
Yeah.
But he's in it for literally 2 seconds. He answers the door.
Okay.
So like you see that he's the husband. So I don't think he's ever has a name in it either. So like my story begins as Benoit Blanc, so Daniel Craig, and Hugh Grant, because he's playing a British guy in the movie.
Okay.
They moved back to England. Okay. And Hugh Grant is actually Hugh Grant. So Hugh Grant is married to Benoit Blanc.
Okay.
They moved back to England. Because I this is me assuming that his name isn't mentioned. If there's a name, this ruins my whole thing. But I'm going to say he's Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
And they moved to England, and basically all the actresses who have ever played alongside Hugh Grant show up dead.
Oh.
So everyone, Julia Roberts, and they all show up dead.
Okay.
And Benoit, and so Hugh is arrested on suspicion, and he basically goes to jail. Benoit Blanc is trying to figure out what the hell is going on here, and he finds in their house letters from every single actress before they died to Hugh. So he's trying to figure out whether Hugh did it, who actually did it, and like what the whole thing is. And he obviously ends up figuring it out. I haven't figured out what the ending is, but he visits all of the like iconic film sets. So he visits where they went and did Notting Hill. Nice. He goes to number 10. Nice. Like Benoit Blanc basically taking the Hugh Grant movie tour.
Nice.
Even though he's married to him and he's trying to figure out if he's in this or not. Yeah, that was it.
That's sick. I like that. I like how it's kind of like real life but still fake at the same time.
Yeah, like have you seen that new, when I say new, I think it's new-ish, where oh fucking hell, what's the actor who's literally playing himself, but it's a fiction. Okay. Oh my god, have you seen, you remember we saw that in cinemas? We didn't see the film, we saw the trailer for it. It was, oh my god, his name's on the tip of my tongue. No, oh my god. But he's playing himself in a film anyway.
I like that. I like that a lot. It'll come to you. It'll definitely come to you.
No, that's gonna pee me off.
Should we go to Titanic 2?
Yeah, go for Titanic 2. This is really gonna annoy me actually.
Okay, so this is so like a far reach, right? Okay. So Jack didn't die at the end. So he drowned in the water and people assumed he died, right? I don't personally remember there being a funeral with a body, right? So in my mind, he was he was rescued and thawed in hospital because obviously his body's frozen. Yeah. So you can preserve a body in ice. So I think if he's like medically thawed, he could survive. He was in a coma for a while. That's what I had written down. Yeah. But in that time, obviously it's a long period of time to do that safely. Rose had gone on with her life and found someone new. She'd moved on.
How long are we talking here?
We're talking at least a year.
Right,
I'd say. I think a year. For him to like come back, like his memories to come back, because I'd assume being frozen alive would give you some sort of memory loss or something.
Yeah.
Like, because your brain is then like stopped somewhat. But yeah, so he came back and he's like kind of filling in the pieces. He's getting his memory back, and he came back, and it's the story of them finding their way back to each other, essentially. Right, yeah. But he finds Rose, and he's annoyed that she's moved on with another guy, but he gets over it eventually, and he's like on mission, like win Rose back. But the new guy Rose is with is extremely possessive and extremely dangerous. So it's not as simple as her just being like, yes, I want to be with you, Jack. I'm going to leave this man. It's like a kind of a thriller in the sense that she can't get away from this man. So it's like them trying to conspire, like, do we sneak off? How do we sneak off without him finding us? That kind of vibe. That's what I got.
Okay, I like that.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
I like how yours always end up like they're back together. Mine are like so.
Not all of mine are like that.
They all die and become gay.
Not all of mine are like that, but
okay, my Titanic story. Okay, there are some plot holes.
That's fine.
But I think that there are things that I could overcome if I was actually to sit down and write.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here we go. So we are following Rose after the Titanic. I actually have a little bit of real history in here.
Oh, okay.
It's got a lot of shit going on.
Well, you're doing research.
Yeah, I did. So, okay, we're following Rose. She is trying to, I was going to, my first sentence was following Rose, trying to get her, get back to her life on the shore. But then I actually came up with the storyline that she wakes up in hospital, because obviously, like, she's still going to be having some form of injuries, right? Yeah. And she has no recollection of the crash. Is that what they call it? Like the sinking? She believes she went on this boat, on this cruise, and she came back.
Wow.
She doesn't remember meeting Jack. She just, in her head, she's rewritten it, the trauma, as literally she went on this thing and she came back and she's all good. Wow. So everyone's like, okay, we're going to try and protect that as much as possible. Whether that's for better or for worse. They're trying to keep her in like isolation from the event, not from life. So she basically just goes on living life very normally as if nothing happened.
Okay. So
no one tells her any different. They don't know about what happened on board with Jack anyway, so it's not like they can help rewrite like the memory. They can't jog her memory of Jack because they weren't there, right? So this is just people that are like, okay, we know that she went on this crash, but we'll just keep it as like whatever. So so this is the real life history.
Okay.
So there is theories that honestly are very convincing that the Titanic didn't sink. A boat definitely did sink, just to clarify.
Right.
But 3 boats were made at the same time. The Titanic, the Britannic, and Olympic, I think it's called. They were all made at the same time. The Olympic went out and did many, many cruises and was showing wear and tear. It was becoming worn. It was becoming... If I'm telling this story wrong, sorry. But this is roughly what happened. The Titanic was brand new, hadn't been touched. And the other one, I don't know, carried on, was happy little life, whatever. So they were all built almost identically. The Britannic has a very different like features, but the Olympic and the Titanic have very similar features. They're almost exactly the same. So the theory is that the Titanic never set sail. The Olympic did. And the reason this is like, they think it was planned is so that they could get some insurance money to fix up what they needed to fix up for the next model or something. There's something like that, right? And there are actually theories that really back this, because there was a really rich man involved in banking, I can't remember his name, I literally don't care, who cancelled his trip the day before, almost like he was told not to go on the boat,
right?
Whereas his 3 competitors were on the Titanic that sunk and died.
Interesting.
So this theory is that basically, obviously, the Titanic does exist, it just didn't set sail and it didn't go. There were also things that were found, like the Olympic, the words the Olympic were found on propellers. Like, this is a whole thing where they think that they just changed it last minute.
Conspiracy theories.
Exactly.
Okay.
So basically, my theory is my story is that when Rose does eventually see that the Titanic sank, she is like, oh, that's very sad. I wasn't on the Titanic. I went on one called the Olympic, because her memories start coming back to her. And maybe when she was on the boat, she was seeing things that said the Olympic, and she had just completely, that was the memory she had. So she was on the Olympic, so she doesn't remember ever going anywhere. So she starts up a support for survivors. Right, she doesn't know she's a survivor herself. She sees the news and she's like, well, that's very sad. I went on a boat and I was fine. Yeah. And now I'm gonna like start this survivors group. So she starts a survivors group. Through there, she meets a guy, and so obviously this is a guy that was on the same boat as her. Yeah. But she didn't know because she was too busy with Jack. Yeah. And they sort of fall in love and they start a life together. And she's obviously she's none the wiser. He doesn't know her. They didn't meet on the boat. Yeah. And then she gets pregnant and she has a baby. And she opts for water birth. So
how ironic.
She is,
the way I'm so invested in this, I'm like, what does she do next? Tell me right now.
So this is now towards the end of the film. She's having the baby, and I can picture the scene, right? She's literally giving birth. Yeah. She looks down as the baby's head comes out. Yeah. And it's underwater. And she sees Jack underwater, and she remembers that she was on the boat that sunk. And that baby there that she's seeing is like Jack coming, sort of telling her like it's like, fine. Yeah. And she then has this baby. Her and her husband then bond over the fact that she's remembered she was on the boat. Yeah. And she calls the child Jack, and she lives this life of like
full circleness. Wow.
But there's really like a scary bit where it's like baby Jack, like, you know, when it's like flicking and it's like she's remembering. And I think throughout the film it would be nice to have like very subtle things that she's sort of like figuring out, like, you know, in Don't Worry Darling, where Florence opened the door at one point and there was like a very quick flash, like things like that. Yeah, very subtle flashes. Wow. But that's what I want to happen.
Really nice. I like that a lot. Gosh, I was so invested. I was like, and what next?
I know, and I need to think of more, because like obviously the dates would line up and stuff, but nice. I'm just going off of, you know.
I like that the inclusion of those conspiracy theories, because I feel like people would eat that up. Because that's really interesting. I know I'm going to go down a hole of researching that later.
Like it looks so legit.
Love that.
Did you find out who it is? Nicolas Cage. He's playing Nick Cage. Plays himself in a fiction movie. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's where my thought process for Hugh Grant came.
Nice. I like that.
Thank you.
Okay, Call Me By Your Name 2. Should I say what I've got?
You go.
So in the book version, spoiler alert, they end up together in the second book.
Oh, right.
But in my version, in this version, they do not. I'm just saying that from the get-go. So think 500 Days of Summer meets The Butterfly Effect meets The Matrix. Right. So the film plays out and we see two different versions of events that stem from Elio making one decision. But in the end of both versions, they still don't end up together. Okay. So it's kind of like, it's a metaphor for real life and the fact that what's meant to be or what's not meant to be will still happen, regardless of the route it takes.
I love that.
Thank you.
Really good.
Just as simple as that. So I didn't think of the intricacies of what that decision would be or how it would play out, but like, I think you can, with that framework, really you can create what you can do.
And because you're as a viewer, you're thinking, no matter what, one of them in one version they'll end up together. It's just a matter of which one. But no, they don't, because that's not how life works. No, it's not.
I think that's a perfect metaphor for like, things will work out how they're meant to work out, and things take different courses, things change, but the end destination doesn't change.
I love that.
Thank you.
I was just stuck. I know how the first one ends, where he's staring into the fire. He's had the call and he's got a wife. Like that's the premise. And I was just like, where do you go from there?
Right? Because
like, I think he's got a wife now.
I think that's why it's so difficult to come up with on, because it was a closured ending. It wasn't an ending where there was much room. I mean, there's a second book though.
There is,
but the movie didn't feel like, oh, but what about this and what about that? It felt like there was closure there.
Maybe then if I was going to do it, what I would do is I would set Timothy on a path of open, happy, comfortable in his sexuality route, and he would end up with a husband. And then we'd see the contrast in AH, not saying the name. His character, Oliver, I don't know. Elio and Oliver.
I honestly didn't even think about him when I was
like, maybe he is then, it's like the difference in like what he could have had. And maybe that's what I would do.
I just love the parallels.
I feel that's very like a film that you could redo that with.
100%. Okay, I think that's a perfect, absolutely. Nice.
That's good.
50 Shades. Now this one is the one where I was like, I feel like they went off track.
They've done it all.
They've done it all, and they went off track with the third one to the point where I was like, what's going on, guys? But that also then opens up a lot of room for discussion for number 4, because it's like they've set no limits.
True.
So I put, they have a child.
Yeah.
But Anna
they do have one in one.
Oh.
I think it's like at the end though.
Oh,
so like
okay.
that makes sense.
Okay, so yeah. They have a child, and Anna leaves Christian after suffering with postpartum depression.
Ooh.
Because as much as he loves her, he's not listening to what she needs, so is therefore an unsupportive partner. Because he's trying, but he's not hearing her. Do you know what I mean? Because you can, like, if you don't learn how to communicate properly, it's still not going to work.
Yeah.
So it kind of shines a light on the realities women face and how, like, pregnancy can make you feel really alone if you are going through those like postpartum depression and other mental health problems with that. Christian's sister then unfortunately passes away.
That's a shame, Rita Ora. That's a shame. Gosh darn, we kill her.
And then he's struggling to deal with that. So stories are in the paper, he's going like crazy, he's, you know, lashing out, kind of like how in Gossip Girl, Serena's trying to get her dad's attention by doing all these crazy things. He's trying to do that to get Anna's attention. And then Anna then obviously reaches back out to him to console him, and they find their way back to each other. But like, that's basically what I got. I was more thinking about the start of it, how they drift apart and like that element. But I don't know, I feel like there was depth to 50 Shades maybe in movie 2, and then afterwards it kind of fell off. I feel like that's a very
believable story, because he was always like, I'm never having children.
Yeah.
And was like, well, obviously we know he's a bit fucked, but like, you know, we saw him actively tell her that he doesn't like commitment, and now he's got a whole child. So that doesn't seem far-fetched at all.
Yeah.
Love it.
What about you?
What would I do?
Yeah. Do you think you'd have anything?
I definitely like the idea about binning off.
I tried to make that so that she unfortunately...
seriously, fortunately. Nothing personal. I just cannot deal with that character one single bit.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like the character doesn't add enough to the story for it to be a big death that the audience feels, but it would be something that Christian feels. Why is she British
as well? There was a lot of questions. Anyway, what would I do? I would probably spark it up a bit. They've already pushed boundaries I thought they wouldn't even cross.
Right.
So why not create... I think that Dakota, whatever her name is, Anna.
Yeah.
She gets into witchcraft.
Okay, yeah, facts.
Of course.
And why not?
Yeah, literally, why the hell not?
Because they've just done the most.
And she like is able to see into Christian's mind and realizes that actually he's never going to change, and she kills him.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
And
oh my gosh.
They don't live happily ever after in my version.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone.
I think this was really good. Like, I think this is such a great concept.
I really like this episode.
Guys, let us know how you would make sequels to any of these movies.
Let us know if you'd watch us.
Yeah, let us know if you'd watch these. And then also tell us what sequels you want us to make next.
Yeah, this is really fun. Like,
really fun.
Yeah, so for the ones we've done, comment down below what you would do. Yeah. And then also suggest movies.
Absolutely. But thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, rate us on all the streaming platforms. But yeah, thank you again. And
thanks so much. If you're listening, make sure you watch us on YouTube, because we are filming too.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.